Have you ever started a meeting or presentation only to feel disconnected and like you didn't belong? I hear you. And that is why I've invited experts who have been in the same position as you or who've lived through the experience from others. And so they're here to share their strategies so that you can implement them today, so that you can be influent and affluent in your global working relationships. My name is Leonilda Renaldo, and I'm your host at the Be Fluent Show. I have the pleasure of holding the space for experts and you to be part of this conversation. Subscribe now. Don't miss it. You'll be sorry. And I want you to be fluent and want you to be successful. See you soon. A bientôt. Hello and welcome to this exciting conversation with Helen von Dadelszen, who is going to share a lot. So start listening to what she has to say on confidence in action. Helen, who are you?
Thanks, Nilda. You said my name perfectly, even though it's not easy. Helen von Dadelszen. I am a voice and communication coach based in Suisse Romande in Switzerland. And I am now also the author of Courageous Action, which is my new book coming out in October 2023.
You-hoo! And what an accomplishment. And that is, writing a book seems daunting to me, but not if you are fully aligned and convinced of your message. And that's exactly what we're going to cover today. So many things what does it sound like to take courageous action? What does confidence look and sound like? So speaking of sounds, what is your take? What strategies help manage nerves? Nerves has got to be one of the first things that holds people back from participating in the global workplace, speaking up in the global workplace. What strategies help manage that?
Okay, so the first thing that everyone needs to realize is that nerves are a normal human reaction. Most people have some sort of anxiety about speaking up, whether it's in their first language or second or third or fourth. I definitely have that when I have to present or even meet people in French, for which I'm reasonably fluent, but I still get more nervous doing that in French than I do in English. So that's the first thing. Recognize it's normal. I have people coming to me saying, no, I can't do that. I can't get on the stage because I feel too nervous or I am scared, but it is normal. So I think that's the first thing. Once you recognize that it's not something that you shouldn't have, it already alleviates a lot of the stress. The second thing that I think can help a lot is to know your own reactions to nerves. Everyone's a little bit different, but the typical things that we feel and think are, so we get sweaty hands or sweaty armpits, we can blush, our hands or legs can shake, we feel the butterflies in our stomach, we need to go to the bathroom more often. Sometimes our voice gets very strained as well. So these are some typical reactions. Now, once you know your own typical reaction, again, it's less scary if you're like, oh yeah, my hands are shaking again. That means the adrenaline is going. That means this is important to me, right? So sort of think about that and identify physically, biologically, what are those reactions? The other thing that is related to that is to start breaking down and recognizing what are those thought processes that are happening in your head. We know how powerful our voice is to ourselves, what we're telling ourselves, how we're speaking to ourselves. So if you can tune into what you're telling yourself and then work at reframing that, that's also helpful. So typically you might say, they will think I'm stupid because I'll make a mistake, or my accent isn't good enough, or who am I to give this interview? Right? So all of these things, if you can find out exactly what are those soundtracks in your mind, then you can identify them and work on reframing them. And then the third thing I think, which is a strategy, is once you sort of know it is normal to get nervous, my body reacts like this, I have these soundtracks in my brain, you can start to counteract that with your own specific preparation routine. So some of the things that I teach are breathing, which slows down your heart rate and makes you feel more calm. Grounding exercises, so getting into your body. or into your senses, as well as practice techniques to effectively practice and prepare. There are things you can do, more you can do in advance, and a lot of people just think they should be incredible without any practice or preparation, and obviously you're going to feel more nervous if you're less prepared. So I also teach those strategies.
I like how you say, let's make it normal, right? We all go through this. And when you say, I can't, I'm afraid, right? It's so easy to go to what we can't do. And you're helping reframe that, right? And the strategies are fantastic as well. Now, in terms of courageous actions, I'm thinking of non-native English speakers who taking a courageous action can look like asking a question in a meeting or picking up the phone, and instead of sending the person to email, just opening a Zoom call with the person. What is one small step that can feel less intimidating, less daunting to do that, to take that courageous action?
So I think it all comes down to, again, a reframe, not expecting to wait to feel confident. And so I explain the action, competence, confidence loop. Confidence just doesn't drop from the air. It starts with action. The more you do something, the more competent you become in it, the more confident you feel, and therefore you're able to do it more and more. So that's really the crux of the concept of courageous action. Action, we can't just hope to feel more confident in a language or suddenly think we'll be able to speak on a stage. No, we have to take the small steps, that's the action, in a courageous way. And when I say courageous action, that means it doesn't feel easy because you've got those nerves and you've got those thoughts going through your head, but you do it anyway. You've probably heard the quote, feel the fear and do it anyway. It's kind of related to that because you are working a muscle. And as you work, you build up your competence. You celebrate along the way. Say, yes, I did it. Imperfectly is fine. And therefore, next time I did that before. I already picked up the phone and made the appointment. It's okay. I can do it. Because your body is doing everything, screaming at you, saying, don't do it. Stop. Danger. That's those reactions in your body. And so you need to fight against those and say, no, I'm going to do it anyway so that I will build up my competence and therefore confidence. Sometimes what we want to do is a step too far. So how could you break it down?
Yes, that's what we
Can
want.
you, for example, practice with your language coach or with a friend, prepare the conversation that you want to have in the other language? Could you record yourself saying it before actually doing it? Are there lower stakes environments where you can start working that muscle, start building the competence and therefore confidence before you do the big step?
Yes. I like how you say that confidence doesn't come before, right? Confidence is the result of something, right? So I also appreciate how you say feel the fear and feel the celebration. Oftentimes we try to, cut some corners there and not feel it. We don't want to feel the fear, but in order to do it, we have to feel it, right?
Absolutely.
Just feel it. Let it go through your body.
Yeah, and recognize and go, that's interesting. I'm feeling more nervous than I usually would. What is that? Is that because I'm underprepared? Is it because I'm intimidated by this person? Is it the context or is it the content? So tuning into that, because your body is hugely powerful and can send you lots of information if you listen to it.
Okay, so invitation to ask ourselves honest questions.
And be curious.
Okay, let curiosity lead us into courage. I like that. Speaking again of courageous action, the title of your book. What's your definition? What's all that about?
So the book, you said at the beginning that it's a daunting task. And indeed, I was never one of these people who absolutely wanted to write a book. I didn't feel like I had it in me. But once I found the angle that I wanted to go into, it started coming together kind of easily, because these are concepts that I've been talking about for the last 5 or 6 years, and it's just putting them together in a nice package in a way. My first title was Confidence by Action. like with a comma. But as I teased out the work, I came up with this sort of coined a new term, which I think is quite nice. And because it is, I think, a new term, I gave it a formal definition at the beginning of the book.
Please.
So I'll read that to you. Courageous action. 1, a deliberate choice to act despite fear, discomfort, or uncertainty. 2, the process of moving forward with bravery, even when the outcome is unknown or feels risky.
Mm.
And 3, small, intentional steps that build confidence through practice, not perfection.
Yes, preach it. Perfection.
No,
Wait,
perfection is unhuman.
it's not human.
Imperfection is the imperfection that people connect with, your uniqueness, and we should not be chasing perfection at all.
Yes, it's the biggest trap. Really the biggest trap. Now let's switch gears to the voice. That's really what attracted me to you, actually, your work on the voice. Can you share a moment where your voice or one of your clients, through the work that you did, changed the outcome of a crucial professional situation?
So the one that comes to mind is with one of my probably first vocal specific clients a couple of years ago. She was very senior in one of the UN agencies, and she was always told that she couldn't sing and she didn't like her voice. And so that's what she wanted to work on with me. I work under the Roger Love method, so I'm certified under that, which includes singing, believe it or not, because singing and speaking are very close, actually the same physiologically. And it's a great way to connect the breathing with the vocal cords and with the positioning of the sound as well in your mouth. And through our work, I think the best way to describe it is that she was working towards an event, a weekend away with some girlfriends. They did it every year. They were all over the world and they all came together into the Swiss Alps and had a girls' weekend together. And she prepared with me a speech or I can't remember if it was a poem or even a song. I can't remember now because it was a few years ago, but she prepared that and she delivered that to her girlfriends. And it gave her such a boost in confidence that she has a voice, that she can control her voice. And that even though she was nervous doing it, she had built up the capacity and she shared her voice with her loving friends. And that was really great. So it was almost, she was ticking the box. I don't need to worry about the power or the control of my voice. I have a good voice. I know how to use it, and I'm delivering a message which had an impact. And so this was in a low stakes environment, but she definitely took that into her workplace as well going forward and became much more confident in leading groups. She had to do lots of workshops and things because she had more control and confidence in her voice. She was able to do that with a lot less stress and worry.
Wow. Sharing her voice. You know, I like that better than finding your voice, right? Because is it a notion of finding a voice or rather sharing it? I like the fact that you say sharing because it doesn't become this thing that only belongs to me. We're focused on how it's going to land with other people. So it's other focus.
Yeah, it's good. I think for some people, it's also finding their voice because many people that I come across are told from very young that they can't act, they can't speak, they can't sing, in choirs and things like that. They're really pushed down. Oh, no, you can't sing. And they take that as part of themselves. And so for some people, it is in a way finding their voice first, but ultimately it's sharing it. The voice is how we communicate, that's the channel of communication for most of us to connect with people. Sure, you have written word as well, but on a human interaction level, it's the voice that carries the message. And that's why that's so important to get the confidence within yourself that you know your voice, you know that you can use it more than you have been, and then able to share it with the world.
Definitely. What does confidence sound like for you? So
I think that in terms of what confidence sound like, it's quite personal and it's quite cultural specific. But the way I like to describe it is a voice that is easy to listen to, controlled, and engaging. So what does that mean? Easy to listen to. That means it's not, I hear you not speaking like this. Or into your throat, oh my God. Right? That's called vocal fry. So somewhere where it's well placed, so it's pleasant to listen to. Then it's controlled. So most of us speak too quickly all of the time. And so especially in other languages, I come across so many people who are speaking English not as their first or their mother tongue, and they think they have to speak quickly so that they sound confident. This is the opposite. If you watch all of the good speakers in any language, actually, it's not the speed. I always bring up Obama. Everyone's seen him speak. He's so controlled, the measured pace, and he can get excited. He can go at a quicker pace, but he's controlling it. It's not the words or the thoughts controlling him. And then the third thing, what did I say? I can't even remember. Engaging. So engaging relates to being congruent. So saying things like you mean them to say. So when you say, I'm so happy to be here, you want to sound happy, not I'm so happy to be here. That's incongruent. So that's the first thing. And the other thing is with engagement is being intentional. How do you want the other person to feel after the interaction? Do you want them to feel inspired? Do you want them to feel scared, potentially, in some roles? Do you want them to feel excited about what's coming? So all of these feelings that you want to transmit, you need to be able to express them with your voice. You can't get someone excited if you speak like this all the time. Guys, it's really time for us to move on this project. We're really getting behind and it matters a lot. You're not going to engage anyone by doing that. So being intentional and then congruent with your words and how you express them through your voice is really, that's the magic medicine for sounding confident.
Speaking of magic medicine, your work involves, you work a lot with healthcare professionals, humanitarians. How does vocal presence influence how their work is perceived, funded, the buy-in? How does that factor in?
Well, I think it comes back to also having this confident voice. If you're looking for funding or trying to convince someone of something, but you've got a very little voice and you don't really sound like you know what you're saying, I think, give us $2 million. Right? So what I'm doing there with my voice, I'm using a smaller volume, a higher pitch, and I even went up at the end of the sentence, which in English sounds like a question.
Yes.
Okay. So how can you convince someone of anything if you don't sound like you're convinced yourself? And I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I've just got the voice that I have. But in fact, the voice is a habit that you've created over time. And so once you start looking at it and thinking about how you want to be perceived and the intention behind your words, and you align that with how you use your voice, you're much better able to convince people of anything. So I think it doesn't matter which industry you're in fact. The humanitarian sector right now is going through an awful lot of uncertainty. And if anything, we need to be more convincing of our values and our mission, not less, with the funding cuts and things. So delivering clear messages which are in line, which sound like you know what you're talking about, sound like you know what you're saying and that you believe in it, is going to always count for more than if you don't pay attention to how your voice is being perceived.
Now, are these things, strategies, tips that we find in your book?
So the voice I talk less about. I really focus on courageous action, but there is an exercise to think about what a confident person means to you in terms of how you hold your body, how you sound, how you're perceived. But I don't go into the mechanics of how then you do that with your voice.
Okay.
That might be another book, another time.
All right, great. Now, I'd love to hear who is behind all this talk about voice. So this is where our listeners get to hear more about you, the human. So just a quick round of questions. What's a disaster, a speaking disaster that taught you something valuable about resilience?
Gosh, that's a difficult question, Leonilda. I'm really fortunate that I came from a family that was always in the theatre. And so I was used to always being in front of an audience and using my voice. And then I had voice lessons or singing lessons and speech and drama lessons very early on. So I was lucky. I think I've avoided the disasters. I've certainly had many in French,
Okay.
less in Italian, but definitely in French.
Okay.
Where actually my son gave me feedback the other day that he heard me make a phone call. He said, "Mum, you're speaking too quickly." And I'm like, oh, well, I should listen to my own advice, especially on the phone, right? Because that's when so many misunderstandings can happen. And usually they're minor, but they don't make us feel very good. So, yeah, I don't think I've had any real disasters with my voice, but it's something I'm still working on in French for sure, and building up the confidence to show up and speak in French imperfectly.
That's right. I'm hearing two things. The first is the importance, the value of feedback. No matter who you are, no matter how experienced you are, feedback will always, or feed forward. Mom, speaking too fast. Okay, that's good for me to know. Brilliant. And the second thing is how lucky you are to have been raised in a singing household. Those are life skills that stick with you. That's wonderful. What's one vocal habit that instantly makes someone sound more confident?
I think I've already said that. I think it's slowing down.
Slowing down.
Now, it's simple, but it's not always easy to do because we have this habit. So usually what I tell people to do is write on their notebook or put on their post-it on their screen a reminder to breathe and slow down. And maybe an advanced tip there would be to tune into your breathing, because a lot of people are not actually using the air. They're not breathing very well, and then they're not using the air to produce the sound, right? So imagine you breathe in, hi, and I'm not using I'm at the top of my breath, but I'm stuck in my breathing. Whereas if you breathe in,
Hey,
use the breath behind it. Makes a huge difference.
it does. It does. Oh, that's a great tip right there.
Exactly. But they're difficult to make a habit. That's the challenge. But the more you do it, as with courageous action, the more you do it, the more confident you become in the technique and the more natural it feels to you. So you'll get people to work on it in low stakes environment, within the family, in a small team meeting, before they move into something where it really matters.
That's right. Excellent. Excellent. What is a myth about courageous action? This is similar to what you said before. You're determined to bust.
Confidence doesn't come first. Action does.
Thank you. What's your go-to confidence ritual before important conversations? Your very own.
My very own is a breathing technique. And it's changed over the years. So right now is the physiological sigh. I really find that this helps me hugely to calm my nervous system. It's a bit of a reset, and it tunes me into my body. Would you like a little demo?
Please.
Because we're on video. So I always put my hand on my chest and one on my stomach, so you can see that my chest doesn't move. This is not a very helpful, effective breath. It's in the stomach. And the physiological sigh is you breathe in normally, you sniff up, you hold for a second, and then you breathe out. And you can do that with a sigh. So it's difficult to do while I'm explaining it. So let me show you. And your breath out needs to be longer than your breath in. So you're breathing in normally, you're topping up, you're holding, and then you're sighing out for longer than you've breathed in. And that for me always makes me feel much more confident and ready for anything.
Like this conversation, for example.
Like this conversation.
Helen, where can people connect with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, if you can spell my name. Otherwise, you can find me at presentpotential.ch or my new book, which is courageousaction.ch. And I hope that if you Google or find me on any other search engine, you should be able to find my work.
Lovely. Lovely. And for those of you who are in the area in Swiss Romande, October 9th is also another date for Helen and all of us, which is, Helen?
It is the second edition of Elevate Your Presence,
Yes.
where I invite people to get on a real theatre stage and to practice their courageous action. either with a prepared speech or a shorter interaction. And it'll be all things celebratory. It'll be my book launch. It'll be lots of fun, lots of sparkles, lots of inspiration for everyone who's there.
Beautiful. Helen, I wish you a sparkly day, sparkly launch, a sparkly event. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you took notes because this is something that you can implement right away. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Leonilda.
Oof, what a conversation that was. That's it for today. But if something sparked an idea, gave you clarity, or simply made you feel less alone in this global workplace jungle, remember, that's why you're here. That's why we are here connecting with you. Now, don't just sit there and let the insight just stagnate. Apply it. Teach it to someone. And if you're ready to go deeper, book your strategy call with me today. Together, we'll turn these big ideas, these big strategies into action. Stop waiting, start speaking. And let's be bold. Let's be fluent together. I'm Leonilda Renaldo. It's been a pleasure. See you soon.